Once a prominent and influential family, the Lemps saw their fortunes decline as an ominous curse seemingly cast a shadow over their once charmed lives. Do the specters of their existence still wander within the historic Lemp Mansion's corridors? Can we unravel the supernatural forces that wreaked havoc on their lives, preventing further harm? This is the untold saga of the Lemp Mansion's haunting in St. Louis, Missouri, where the spirits of the past entwine with present-day mysteries. To properly recount this tale, let me introduce you to the Lemp family's origins, their pursuits, and the unfortunate events that befell them. So, let's begin at the outset. The Lemp lineage commences with Joe Horn and Adam Lemp, who arrived in St. Louis, Missouri, from Eschwege, Germany, in 1838. Upon his arrival, Adam established a modest grocery store at the present-day intersection of Delmar and 6th Streets, where he peddled everyday essentials, provisions, and homemade beer. His light, golden lager provided a refreshing alternative to the darker brews of the era. The beer recipe passed down from his father quickly gained popularity, prompting Adam to abandon the grocery trade just 2 years later and embark on a journey to construct a small brewery instead. In 1840, this brewery stood near the location where the Gateway Arch stands today. Initially, Lemp sold his beer in a pub connected to the brewery, introducing St. Louis to its first lager. Soon, he realized that the brewery couldn't handle both production and storage adequately. He stumbled upon a limestone cave south of the city's boundaries, situated at the present-day intersection of Cherokee and Demon Neal Place. This cave's naturally cool environment, maintained by harvested ice from the nearby Mississippi River, provided the ideal conditions for brewing lager. Consequently, the Lemp's Western Brewing Company flourished, becoming one of the city's largest breweries by the 1850s. Adam Lemp, a millionaire upon his passing, succumbed to death on August 25, 1862, leaving his son William to assume control and embark on a significant brewery expansion. In 1864, a new facility was completed on Cherokee Street, driven by the need to meet escalating demand. The Lemp family soon became synonymous with both affluence and influence, momentarily dominating the St. Louis beer market, a position they held until the onset of Prohibition in 1868. Not far from the Lemp Brewery, Jacob Hart, William Lemp's father-in-law, constructed a colossal residence. In 1876, William decided to acquire it for his family, repurposing it as both their home and an auxiliary office. Although the house was already imposing, Lemp wasted no time in renovating and expanding this 33-room structure into a Victorian masterpiece, a true testament to opulence as part of his ambitious renovation project. A tunnel was constructed starting from the mansion's basement, leading through caves to the brewery, enabling the introduction of wooden mechanical refrigeration. Some portions of the caves were repurposed, including the creation of a natural auditorium and theater. Over time, the system expanded to include a concrete swimming pool with hot water sourced from the brewery boiling house, followed by the addition of a bowling alley and a private movie theater. This transformation marked the birth of what would later be known as the Lemp Western Brewery. This growing enterprise became the pioneer in nationwide beer distribution and played a pivotal role in the launch of Pabst Blue Ribbon beer and Anheuser-Busch. However, beneath this success story lay a series of unfortunate events. The Lemp family, despite their prosperity, would soon face a string of tragedies. In 1901, William Lemp Sr.'s beloved son and the company's heir passed away at the tender age of 28 due to heart failure. Frederick Lemp, who had always struggled with his health, succumbed to his ailments. His son's demise profoundly affected William, and after the funeral, he withdrew from public life, forever changed. On January 1, 1904, another blow struck when William's close friend, Frederick Pabst, passed away, leaving William to grapple with running the brewery while being increasingly withdrawn. Though he continued to show up at the office daily, his nerves and composure were deteriorating. Following these events, his physical and mental health declined rapidly. Then, on February 13, 1904, William took his own life. In November of that same year, William Lemp Jr. assumed the presidency of the William J. Lemp Brewing Company, taking over the family business and substantial fortune. With his wife Lillian, they embarked on a lavish spending spree, filling the mansion with servants and splurging on carriages, clothing, art, and more. Lillian, hailing from a wealthy family herself, had married William Lemp Jr. in 1899, and they welcomed their son, William J. Lemp III, on September 26, 1900. Lillian's penchant for the color lavender earned her the nickname Lavender Lady. She went as far as dyeing her carriage horses and harnesses lavender. Initially, Will proudly flaunted his trophy wife, but being born into privilege, he was accustomed to getting his way. As his interest in Lillian waned, he insisted she indulge in excessive shopping, granting her an allowance of $1,000 a day. He gave her an ultimatum: spend it all or receive no more. Meanwhile, Will managed the brewery during the day and indulged in debauchery at night, hosting extravagant parties in the caves beneath the mansion. He frequently brought in prostitutes to entertain him and his friends, all while enjoying the amenities of the swimming pool, bowling alley, and an endless supply of beer. His associates who frequented these extravagant gatherings were notorious for indulging in a lively subterranean nightlife. However, the unrestrained revelry carried grave repercussions. Will's escapades caught up with him when he fathered a child with a woman other than his wife. Strangely, there exists no official record today confirming the existence of this child, but rumors persist that he spent his entire life concealed in the mansion's attic. According to St. Louis historian Joe Gibbons, who interviewed a former nanny and a chauffeur from the mansion's distant past, both corroborated the existence of this child. He resided in the attic, sharing quarters with the servants, a product of Will's indiscretions with either one of the numerous prostitutes or a mansion staff member. The child, born with Down syndrome, was a source of profound embarrassment to the family and thus remained hidden from the world. Shrouded in secrecy, finally, in 1908, William Jr., weary of his trophy wife's incessant nagging from his perspective, initiated divorce proceedings. It remains a mystery why she hadn't taken this step earlier, considering his extensive indiscretions, but it may have been a reflection of the norms of the era. The divorce trial became a sensational scandal in St. Louis, with all 4 local newspapers dedicating extensive front-page coverage to the messy affair. The trial commenced in February 1909, drawing crowds to the courthouse eager to witness the drama of violence, drunkenness, egotism, and excess. Disregarding William's extravagant lifestyle, Lillian almost lost custody of William Lemp III due to a photograph presented during the trial, depicting her smoking a cigarette. This, perhaps, was another indication of changing societal norms. In the end, she retained custody of their son but subsequently withdrew from public life. The only time she was seen in anything other than lavender was on the final day of her divorce proceedings when she appeared entirely in black before the judge. However, Will's troubles were far from over following the divorce. In 1906, 9 major breweries in the St. Louis area merged to form the Independent Breweries Company, creating intense competition that the Lemp Brewery had never encountered. That same year, Will's mother succumbed to cancer. The extravagant spending on personal luxuries and extravagant parties had undoubtedly eroded the family's wealth. Meanwhile, the brewery's profits steadily declined. Nevertheless, in 1911, the Lemp Mansion underwent extensive renovations, with a portion of it transformed into brewery offices. Simultaneously, William allowed the brewery's equipment to deteriorate, possibly to fund these renovations. When World War I erupted in 1914, the brewery was but a shadow of its former self. In addition to this, William constructed a country home on the Merrimack River, where he increasingly sought refuge. Amidst ongoing troubles, in 1915, he remarried. The decline in profits due to competition would pale in comparison to what awaited in 1919, the era of Prohibition. The individual family members were already wealthy, providing little incentive to sustain the brewery. Initially, Will held out hope that Congress would repeal Prohibition, but eventually, he gave up as it seemed increasingly unlikely. Shortly after Prohibition went into effect, the Lemp Brewery closed abruptly without warning. Workers arrived one day to find the doors locked and the gates shut, marking the beginning of a string of misfortunes for the family. On March 20, 1920, Elsa Lemp arrived. William's sister, the wealthiest heiress in St. Louis, took her final breath, mirroring her father's fate years earlier. Elsa is said to have been deeply despondent over her troubled marriage and numerous personal and financial issues stemming from the end of the Lemp brewing dynasty. William Jr. descended into a familiar depression. Emulating his father's behavior, he became increasingly anxious and unpredictable, shunning public life and frequently complaining of poor health. On December 29, 1922, William too passed away in the same manner and within the same building where his father had 18 years prior. William's brothers, Charles and Edwin, had long abandoned any involvement in the family business, recognizing their limited prospects in inheriting the empire, if any at all. It seemed the Lemp dynasty had finally reached a grim conclusion in 1943. Yet another tragedy struck when William Lemp III suddenly succumbed to a heart attack at the age of 42, the only legitimate son of William. Shortly after these events transpired, Charles, his brother, undertook the mansion's transformation back into a residence, where he resided with 2 servants and his brother's illegitimate child. The number of occupants grew odd as time passed, and Charles developed an intense fear of germs, which led to his compulsive behavior of wearing gloves constantly to avoid bacteria and incessantly washing his hands. During this period, shortly after the mansion's renovation, William's illegitimate son, now in his 30s, had his name added to the list of deceased individuals. Following the passing of his nephew, Charles became the 4th member of the Lemp family to choose his own fate. He led his beloved Doberman into the mansion's basement before ascending the staircase to his 2nd-floor room, meeting a fate similar to that of his brother and father. Charles was discovered on May 10, 1949, with a revolver still in his hand, suggesting that his demise may not have been swift. He appeared to have attempted to descend the stairs or had fallen, much like the other tragic events that had befallen the Lemp family. Only Edwin remained, having distanced himself from the tragic family history, leaving the Lemp Brewing Company in 1913 to lead a quiet life on a secluded estate in Kirkwood. Edwin peacefully passed away from natural causes at the age of 90 in 1970. In accordance with Edwin's last wishes, his butler incinerated all the paintings collected by the Lemps throughout their lives, along with a priceless Lemp family document and their artifacts. These irreplaceable pieces of history disappeared into smoke and embers on that fateful day, marking the end of the Lemp family line with Edwin. Their final resting place can now be found at the Bellefontaine Cemetery, which bears their name. Although their physical remains reside within the cemetery's walls, some believe their spirits still inhabit their once prosperous estate, following Charles Lemp's demise. The mansion was sold and transformed into a boarding house, as was the nearby neighborhood. This marked the beginning of eerie tales surrounding the old Lemp mansion. New residents quickly reported ghostly knocks and phantom footsteps echoing throughout the house. In addition to these frightening manifestations, spectral apparitions began appearing in various rooms and halls. The fear instilled by these occurrences often prompted residents to move out as swiftly as they had moved in, eventually leading to the decline and closure of the boarding home. The mansion, now in a state of decay, seemed destined for demolition. However, in 1975, it was purchased once again, this time by a man named Richard Pointer. He embarked on a renovation project, restoring some of the mansion's former grandeur and converting it into a restaurant. It is a common belief that spirits dwelling in older buildings and homes do not take kindly to renovations. Whether the energy of the place was stirred or they sensed a new presence, the ghosts residing there made themselves even more known than before. Workers within the mansion shared stories of encountering apparitions, hearing strange whispers, and experiencing their tools mysteriously disappearing. An eerie feeling of being constantly watched by unseen eyes haunted them. Many were so frightened that they abandoned the job site, never to return. Eventually, the renovations were completed, and the mansion became a restaurant and inn. Staff members have since reported numerous paranormal experiences, including apparitions, unexplained voices, flying glasses, doors locking and unlocking on their own, lights flickering without reason, and the piano bar playing music when no one is nearby. Some wonder if these occurrences are the restless souls of the Lemp family. 3 areas of the mansion have witnessed the most paranormal activity: the stairway, the attic, and the basement area known as the Gates of Hell. This basement area was once the entrance to the caves beneath the mansion and the brewery. The attic is said to be haunted by William Jr.'s illegitimate son, known as the monkey-faced boy. He, born with Down syndrome, spent his life locked in the attic, and strange occurrences have been reported on the 3rd floor of the mansion. The boy's face has been seen from the street peering through small windows, and investigators have placed toys in his room, drawing circles around them to check if they move overnight, which they often do. In the downstairs women's bathroom, once William Jr.'s domain and home to the first freestanding shower in St. Louis, women have reported seeing a man peeking over their stall. On one occasion, a woman confronted the men she was with, claiming they had spied on her, but they denied ever leaving the bar, which the bartender confirmed. This ghost is believed to be the womanizing William Jr. In William Lemp Sr.'s room, guests have heard the sound of someone running up the stairs and kicking at the door. When William took his own life, William Jr. had rushed up the stairs to his father's room, trying to get in. Some speculate that this could be a residual haunting. Experiences have also extended beyond the mansion. A tour guide reported hearing hoarse sounds near William Lemp Sr.'s office, even though there was nothing outside when they looked through the window. This area, north of the mansion, now serves as a parking lot but was once used for tethering horses. Numerous paranormal stories have circulated among those who have visited the Lemp Mansion over the years, and this account is just one of many. On October 9, 2004, 2 women, referred to as Katie and Amy, visited the Lemp Mansion with St. Louis historian Joe Gibbons. Joe, who had extensively researched the mansion, often conducted tours with the owner's permission. The following narrative is recounted from Katie's perspective. Meeting Joe at the bar. We enjoyed a few lagers while engaging in conversation. Subsequently, Joe began guiding Amy and me through the mansion, providing intricate details about its history, the land it occupied, and the various strange occurrences within its now haunted walls. During our tour, several peculiar events unfolded. Our first encounter was in the dimly lit attic while Joe described the story of the monkey-faced boy. I began taking photographs, and within the attic, I heard faint whispers, resembling those of a young child, coming from behind me. The whispers were rapid, alternating between ears as though someone was speaking simultaneously into both at close range. Initially indistinct, the voice seemed to repeat, "Help me," over and over again. Later on our tour, we encountered another group who happened to be on a different tour. After a brief conversation, some of their group members shared an incident they had witnessed in the hallway. They described encountering a man who appeared agitated as he held a key while our large group passed through the hallway. This man, described as pale and older, was dressed in a white shirt and black pants. At the time, we assumed he was a staff member, and we thought nothing more of it. However, we later discovered that there was no staff or guest matching that description at the mansion that night. Fortunately, no harm was done, and nothing was disturbed in the guest rooms. This entire experience was incredibly peculiar and left a lasting impression. We wondered if this encounter could be connected to the lore of the Lemp family, with some speculating that it might be the ghost of a Lemp family member, displeased by our intrusion. The mysterious circumstances surrounding the family's demise raise more questions than answers. What drove them to their downfall? Was it due to stress, genetics, or something even darker that defies explanation? Could the suffering of those affected by their product have somehow cursed the family? Did they make a Faustian bargain for their wealth and prestige, only to see their empire crumble and their bloodline extinguished? Or perhaps the mansion's remodeling efforts disturbed an ancient malevolence lurking beneath its foundations? We may never truly know, as those with such knowledge have long departed this earthly realm. Yet, their presence, or something like it, may still linger. The mansion has garnered attention in various magazines and newspapers and has become a magnet for ghost hunters and historians nationwide. Today, it continues to operate as a bed and breakfast, offering rooms restored to different time periods, a fine dining restaurant, and a mystery dinner theater. Tours of the mansion are also available for the brave-hearted. Notably, the Lemp family mausoleum remains standing, housing the remains of family members, including the infamous, monkey-faced boy, a tragic figure born out of wedlock. He, too, is said to make his presence known at the mansion and rests alongside the family under a modest marker labeled Lamp, a poignant ending to a once-thriving success story turned tragic. It serves as a reminder that beneath wealth and privilege, unseen demons may lurk, waiting to resurface. What do you think could have caused the family's curse? Is the mansion genuinely haunted, or is it merely superstition? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We also want to express our sincere gratitude for joining us in this new video.